And I told the world that your case for the war was a pack of lies. I told the world that Iraq, contrary to your claims, did not have weapons of mass destruction. I told the world, contrary to your claims, that Iraq had no connection to Al-Qaeda. I told the world, contrary to your claims, that Iraq had no connection to the atrocity on 9/11/2001. I told the world, contrary to your claims, that the Iraqi people would resist a British and American invasion of their country, and that the fall of Baghdad would not be the beginning of the end, but merely the end of the beginning. Senator, in everything I said about Iraq, I turned out to be right, and you turned out to be wrong. And 100,000 people have paid with their lives. 1,600 of them American soldiers sent to their deaths on a pack of lies. 15,000 of them wounded, many of them disabled forever, on a pack of lies. If the world had listened to Kofi Annan, whose dismissal you demanded, if the world had listened to President Chirac, who you want to paint as some kind of corrupt traitor, if the world had listened to me and the anti-war movement in Britain, we would not be in the disaster that we're in today. Senator, this is the mother of all smokescreens. You are trying to divert attention from the crimes that you supported, from the theft of billions of dollars of Iraq's wealth. Have a look at the real oil for food scandal. Have a look at the 14 months you were in charge of Baghdad, the first 14 months, when $8.8 billion of Iraq's wealth went missing on your watch. Have a look at Halliburton and the other American corporations that stole not only Iraq's money, but the money of the American taxpayer. Have a look at the oil that you didn't even meter, that you were shipping out of the country and selling, the proceeds of which went who knows where. Have a look at the $800 million you gave to American military commanders to hand out around the country without even counting it or weighing it. Have a look at the real scandal breaking in the newspapers today, revealed in the earlier testimony in this committee, that the biggest sanctions busters were not me or Russian politicians or French politicians. The real sanctions busters were your own companies with the connivance of your own government.
Thank you, Mr. Galloway. Mr. Galloway, can we start by talking about Fawaz Zerkat? Do you know the individual?
I know him very well.
In fact, you were best man at his wedding?
I was.
And at some point in time, he became chair of Miriam's Appeal, is that correct?
He did, yeah.
And can you tell me when that occurred?
I think in late 2000 or early 2001.
Before Mr. Zerkat was chair of Miriam's Appeal, who had that position?
I was the founding chairman.
Was there somebody in between you and
Mr. Halford?
And do you recall when he had that position?
I don't.
Mr. Zerkat was a significant contributor to Miriam's Appeal, is that correct?
He was the second biggest contributor. The main contributor was Sheikh Zayed, the ruler of the United Arab Emirates, which you've glossed over in your report because it's slightly embarrassing to you. And the third major contributor was the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, which you've equally glossed over because it's embarrassing to you.
And how much?
Both of those individuals are your friends.
How much did Mr. Zerkat contribute to Miriam's Appeal?
Roughly 375,000 English pounds.
About $600,000 American?
Well, I don't know the conversion, but it's 375,000 sterling.
If you can, and he was, by the way, Mr. Zerkat was your representative, designated representative for the activity of Miriam's Appeal, is that correct?
For the activities of the Miriam Appeal, yes.
And when did he get that position?
I think late 2000.
Late 2000. Looking at Exhibit 9, and I think you have the books in front of you.
Yeah.
That appears to be a document for the Ministry of Oil. Testimony has indicated that the signature is an accurate signature. Do you have any reason to believe that document's false?
Well, I've told you that I have never heard of Iridio Petroleum, and I've told you that the Miriam Appeal never received a single penny from Iridio Petroleum. Yes. So the information at the top of the page, if you've translated it accurately, is false.
have you heard of Middle East ASI Company?
Yes, that's Mr. Zurikat's company.
Okay, can I turn to Exhibit 12?
It's 12 or 11? Yeah, 12. Yep.
And that purports to be, again, a stamp, the seal of the Ministry of Oil, people of Iraq. And this purports to be showing the details of a contract signed with Middle East ASI Company, Mr. George Galloway, and for Fawaz Zarakat. So Middle East ASI is Mr. Zarakat's company?
Middle East ASI is Mr. Zurikat's company. He may well have signed an oil contract. It had nothing to do with me.
He was chair of Miriam's Appeal in 2000, so I take it you knew him well. Did he ever talk to you about his dealings in oil with Iraq?
He did better than that. He talked to everybody. He talked to every English journalist that came through Baghdad, who he helped, at our request, to get the interviews and get the places that they wanted and needed to go. He was introduced to everyone as a major benefactor of the Mariam Appeal and as a businessman doing extensive business in Iraq and elsewhere in the Middle East.
I'm asking you specifically, in 2001, were you aware that he was doing oil deals with Iraq?
I was aware that he was doing extensive business with Iraq. I did not know the details of it. It was not my business.
So this is somebody who's the chairman of your committee that you know well, and you're not able to say that he was...
Well, there's a lot of contributors I've just been checking to your
There's not many at that level, Mr. Galloway.
Well, no, let me assure you there are. I've checked your website. There are lots of contributors to your political campaign funds. I don't suppose you ask any of them how they made the money they give you.
Certainly not at $600,000 American. But let me again ask the question, just the record is clear. You need to be clear on the record that you're not contesting then the validity of Document 12, Exhibit 12. You're indicating that Mr. Zarakat could have had dealings with Iraq, but you're saying that at that point in time you were not aware that he had oil dealings with Iraq?
First of all, I've only seen this document today, and I'm telling you that insofar as my name is in a parenthesis, the information in it is false. I have no reason to believe Mr. Zurikat's company did not do that particular oil deal, but this is your problem in this whole affair. There is nobody arguing that Mr. Zurikat's company did not do oil transactions and many other, much bigger, frankly, business contracts with Iraq. There's nobody contesting that Mr. Zurikat made substantial donations to our campaign against sanctions and war. My point is, you have accused me personally of enriching myself, of taking money from Iraq, and that is false and unjust.
Mr. Galloway, do you recall an interview you had with the Jeremy Paxman on April 23rd of 2003?
Well,
do we have a copy of the transcript of that? I'd like to refresh your memory. Let me get a copy of that. As we get you a copy, I'm going to ask, you were asked the question, talking about business dealings with Mr. Zarakat in Iraq, and at least the transcript that I have, and I'd like you to let me know if it's incorrect. Your quote is, I've asked him about business in Iraq, and quote, "Well, I'm trying to reach him," this is in 2003, "I'm trying to reach him to ask him if he's ever been involved in oil deals because I don't know the answer to that."